Stephen Jedget's there. A court in Berlin has ruled that Germany must improve its air quality standards in order to meet European pollution targets. The court ruled in favour of a leading environmental group that had sued the German government. This is one of a flurry of recent suits by activists and environmental organisations against the government's climate policies. Deutsche Welle correspondent Giulia Saudelli joins us now from Berlin. Giulia, g'day. So why have environmental groups been taking the German government to court?
Well, in this particular latest case, the environmentalists claimed that the German government and its clean air quality program weren't going far enough in trying to reach European targets, but also in protecting its own citizens from pollution. And a court agreed with this assessment, even though this ruling can still be appealed. But this is only one of a series of cases that environmental groups are bringing to the courts against the German government, and specifically against its climate policies. The environmentalists believe that the German government isn't doing enough to reduce its emissions. It's not doing it fast enough. And this is why they're now taking to the courts to try to steer the government's course in a different direction. And they've already had quite some success on this front. There have been some successful rulings in favor of the environmentalists. And one famous one was in 2021 against the previous German government led by Chancellor Angela Merkel, where the government was told by the courts that they had to improve their climate policy because by continuing on their course, they were going too slow in reducing their emissions. They were actually being unconstitutional. They were injuring the right of young people and future German citizens to have a clean and safe environment to live in, which climate change would threaten.
And how is Germany performing when it comes to reaching its climate goals?
Well, Germany has set some quite ambitious goals for itself. For example, it wants to be climate neutral by 2045. That means it doesn't want to emit more CO2, more carbon into the atmosphere. And we've seen some progress happening in Germany. We've seen that, for example, in the first half of this year, 65% of electricity has come from the renewable sources. We've also seen that data points to the fact that last year it was a record in Germany for new solar plants and new solar systems. So we've seen some progress there. But at the same time, we've heard from a panel of climate experts who advise the government that they say that Germany risks missing its 2030 targets for carbon emissions. And in particular, the transport and the construction sectors are too slow and are not doing enough to reduce their emissions. And this is why the environmental groups are really trying to push through the courts. They want to see more speed and more efficiency in reducing emissions.
And what's summer been like so far in Europe?
No, we've seen again some extreme weather events happening in Europe. Just last month here in Germany, the south of the country experienced some devastating floods that caused the deaths of up to 5 people. And the German Weather Service has said that the rains that caused the floods were made 10 times heavier because of climate change. But at the same time, in the south of Europe, for example, on the Italian island of Sicily, they are experiencing one of the worst droughts in decades. Lakes have dried up. Authorities have had to ration the use of water. And these are all consequences of climate change that we see happening not just in Europe but around the globe. And this is also pushing environmentalists here in Germany to want to see more action coming from the government.
Okay, Giulia Saudelli reporting there from Berlin. Australia's birth rate has dropped to its lowest level in almost 2 decades. New data from KPMG shows just